game of love, when the narcissist plays the role of director, they are the ones who always hold the power, deciding between emotional life and death based entirely on their whims. When they choose to end a relationship, they vanish suddenly, at a moment they alone deem perfect. However, they rarely wish to let go entirely. Much like a sly cat toying with a helpless mouse, they take delight in keeping you suspended in limbo, trapped in a state where distinguishing between what is real and what is not becomes impossible. They might vanish from your world in the blink of an eye, cutting off all communication without offering a single explanation, not even a parting wave. Yet, don't be shocked if, one day, they return out of nowhere, acting as if nothing ever occurred. They pick up the relationship again like everything is perfectly normal, until, of course, they grow tired and vanish once more. Silence is a narcissist's weapon, wielded with uncanny precision. They remain silent when choosing to end things, and they maintain that silence as a tool for manipulation. They sit back and observe, not out of fear of losing you, but because they are certain that, eventually, you will return to them, begging and pleading. Their silence is a calculated challenge because they believe, with full confidence, that sooner or later, you will surrender. They bet on your empathy and trust their power to manipulate it. You get drawn into a toxic cycle, endlessly trying to please someone who is never satisfied, all to feed their distorted ego. They take a twisted pleasure in seeing you beg, plead, and cling, asking for one more chance, even apologizing for things they themselves caused. It may sound insane, even impossible to grasp, but it's the reality. Each message or call you send becomes a dose of validation for them, soothing their hidden shame, deflecting all blame, and quieting the remnants of their conscience. If I was really that terrible, they tell themselves, why is this person still chasing me? This is the way they deceive themselves, dodging accountability and justifying every wrong they've done. They enjoy your pursuit because, to them, it affirms they aren't as awful as they may secretly fear. In their eyes, your continued attachment means they aren't unworthy of love, nor deserving of hate. But what happens if you are strong enough to finally break those invisible chains? What if you boldly step away from the carefully designed game the narcissist has so painstakingly orchestrated? Would they simply accept defeat, or would they retaliate, releasing every last weapon in their arsenal in a desperate attempt to pull you back in? Stick with us as we delve deeper into the twisted psychology of the narcissist and explore their reaction when their prey slips out from their grasp. And if you've ever lived through something like this, don't hesitate to share your story in the comments. I'm always here, ready to hear your thoughts and experiences. At first, they feel hurt. Narcissists are like self-centered children, always in need of attention and gratification. They might treat you cruelly, trampling your feelings and values without a hint of guilt. But strangely enough, when you stop playing by their rules, when you no longer give them the reaction they crave, they're the ones who suffer. Emotionally, they resemble vampires, constantly feeding off your negative reactions to keep their inflated ego alive. And when you no longer give them that emotional sustenance, they start to wither, left feeling hollow and deeply wounded. You've stopped being their puppet, no longer soothing or managing their emotions, and that drives them insane. Yet the deepest irony lies in this. After everything they've done, lying, manipulating, devaluing, and discarding you without a second thought, they suddenly see themselves as the victim. They feel hurt because you are no longer suffering over them, no longer offering the same sacrifices you once did. It's hard to understand this narcissistic mindset unless you've seen it up close. In their skewed worldview, they are always the center of the universe. They're incapable of truly understanding how others feel, and when you deny them the emotional response they crave, they lash out, blaming you for the pain they now endure. They forget it was they who caused the damage, they who destroyed the relationship, and yet, now they play the role of the wounded party, hungry for your pity. Next, they feel regret. But do narcissists truly feel regret? The answer might be yes, but don't celebrate just yet. Their regret isn't about the loss of a soul connection or the shattering of a meaningful bond. Rather, it's about the collapse of a personal project, something they carefully constructed. Like a child who loses their favorite toy, they regret the loss of their supply. the person who met their selfish needs and propped up their bloated sense of self. They regret losing their servant, their emotional ATM, the companion who's now disappeared, not a true partner or soulmate. For them, anyone who can fill the emotional vacuum within could be the right one. Think back to the beginning, when their mask had not yet slipped. They seemed like expert hunters, calculating and watching your every move, using charm, romance, and expensive gifts to lure you in. Every sweet gesture, every loving moment was merely a distraction, a shiny wrapper concealing something rotten. They painted a dreamlike world where love intoxicated you until you woke up alone, wounded, and confused. And although they'll likely seek out someone new, someone to replace you, this means starting over, putting on the mask again, crafting another illusion. It's always easier to keep you than to find someone else. Their regret, in the end, is nothing more than selfishness wrapped in a clever disguise. Eventually, they get angry and blame you. As contradictory as it seems, narcissists find fuel in the negative emotions of others. Your pain, your anger, your frustration, they are all sources of energy that keep their delusions alive. They feed like parasites on those emotions. So, when you go silent, when you become indifferent, you cut off their power supply. That silence strips away their control, forcing them to face emotions they've long tried to avoid. But instead of looking inward, they project outward, blaming you. They act like you are the source of their agony, even though they were the ones who lied, insulted, and discarded you. They still want to believe you should be devastated without them. Narcissists are like broken mirrors, able to reflect only their own distorted image, incapable of seeing their flaws. That's because they can't accept responsibility. Accountability is one of their greatest weaknesses. They cannot admit to being wrong or reflect on their behavior. Unlike a normal person, who may eventually feel remorse and try to make amends, the narcissist will never admit fault. They won't try to fix things. Instead, they will go on blaming others and refusing to learn from their actions. And finally, they become overwhelmed by chaotic emotions. Narcissists frequently find themselves caught in a whirlwind of conflicting feelings, trapped between the urge to reconcile and a burning desire for revenge. They swing wildly between wanting to draw you back in and resenting you for slipping away. One minute, they believe they need you and can't live without you. The next, they plunge into a wave of blame and venom, convinced everything was your fault. This endless loop, fueled by anger, bitterness, and denial, is one they can't escape. Psychologists often call this behavior hoovering, named after vacuum cleaners that suck everything back in. When narcissists feel they've lost control, they will do anything to pull you back into their web, whether through teary apologies or nostalgic memories of better times. But remember, their motive isn't love. It's not real remorse. It's about control. They can't stand the idea of you living well without them, as that deeply wounds their fragile yet overinflated ego. If you do return, the same old patterns will resume as though nothing had changed. In their emotional turmoil, narcissists will often seek out new partners. But these aren't built on love. They're distractions, attempts to fill the void you left. Yet, these new relationships tend to fail, as the narcissist carries their unresolved issues into every new dynamic. And so, the cycle repeats. In the end, they find themselves back where they started, angry, regretful, and ultimately drowning in their own self-pity. Psychological research like that of Dr. Ramani Durvasula shows that narcissists lack the emotional tools to process loss in a healthy manner. Instead of learning to accept and grow, they spiral into a sense of injustice and suffering of their own making. This creates a toxic emotional loop, one that not only hurts them, but also pulls you into a dark maze if you're not careful. The most essential step in handling this behavior is to set clear, firm boundaries. Remember, their attempts to lure you back aren't acts of love or change. They are strategic moves to maintain dominance and control. If you've decided to walk away, stand firm in that choice. Don't let their sweet words, emotional pleas, or fleeting vulnerability reel you back in. Instead, stay focused on your own healing, rebuilding a life free from emotional chaos and manipulation. You deserve peace. You deserve healthy, nurturing love, not a cycle of repeated suffering. Dealing with narcissists is undoubtedly a difficult path, but understanding the mechanisms behind their mask can give you clarity as you reclaim your peace. Before we end, we want to sincerely thank our incredible audience. Your unwavering support, your views, your comments, all of it means so much. Every single bit of feedback fuels our passion and commitment to bring you better, more meaningful content. Your encouragement empowers us to continue spreading awareness, sharing knowledge, and building a more conscious and compassionate community. We're truly grateful to have you with us on this journey. What are your views on this? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I will personally read all of your comments. And if you seriously want to level up in life, don't forget to show some love by hitting the like and subscribe button. Stay strong. Until next time.